Good afternoon. We are back, and the next item on the agenda is a presentation by Natural Resources Canada, Atomic Energy Canada Limited, and the Canadian Nuclear Laboratory on the restructuring of EACL and CNL. The presentation is outlined CMD 15M14. I understand, Dr. Walker, you'll make the presentation. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, and I'll be sharing the presentation with my colleagues. Members of the Commission, good afternoon. For the record, my name is Bob Walker, and I am President and Chief Executive Officer of Atomic Energy of Canada Limited and of Canadian Nuclear Laboratories Limited, or CNL, which is presently a wholly owned subsidiary of EACL. And with me here today are Jonathan Lundy, EACL's Chief Transition Officer, and Jean-Frédéric Lafay, Director General of EACL Restructuring at Natural Resources Canada. Together, we are here to provide an update to the Commission and to respond to Commission members' questions regarding the status and plans for the restructuring of EACL. Dr. Lafay and I first came to the Commission in December of 2013 to present an overview of the restructuring and to discuss its regulatory implications. Today, our update will focus on three key areas. First, the restructuring of EACL. Second, the recent government decision regarding the future of the NRU reactor. And third, regulatory considerations associated with the restructuring and the NRU. To begin our update today, I'll take a moment and discuss the breadth and scope of CNL and its various sites and activities. Building on EACL's 60 plus years of nuclear science and technology accomplishments, CNL maintains a national presence with over 3,400 employees working in 4 provinces. Les employés hautement qualifiés de LNC offrent un large éventail de services nucléaires d'une importance vitale, afin d'en arriver à un seul résultat stratégique, que les citoyens du Canada et du monde entier puissent bénéficier de la science et de la technologie nucléaire au niveau de l'énergie, de la santé, des avantages économiques et environnementaux, tout en ayant confiance que la sécurité et la sûreté nucléaire sont assurées. LNC entreprend une série de programmes qui ont été mis en place pour atteindre ce résultat stratégique. Ces programmes sont en accord avec les priorités du gouvernement du Canada, plus précisément de supporter un environnement propre et sain, d'avoir des citoyens canadiens en santé, un Canada sécuritaire et sécurisé, est une économie innovatrice fondée sur le savoir. Importantly, following CNL's restructuring, the laboratories will continue to deliver on 3 distinct missions: managing Canada's decommissioning and waste management responsibilities, delivering in science and technology to meet core federal needs, and supporting Canada's nuclear industry by providing access to CNL's science and technology facilities and expertise on commercial terms. Carrying out these missions, CNL will remain well-positioned to meet all of its nuclear safety and regulatory obligations. I'll now ask Jean-Frédéric Lafay of Natural Resources Canada to provide additional details on the restructuring. JF?
Thank you, Dr. Walker. Monsieur le Président, Madame, Messieurs les commissaires, for the record, my name is Jean-Frédéric Lafay, and I am Director General at Natural Resources Canada, or NRCan, responsible for the restructuring of EACL's nuclear laboratories. J'aimerais tout d'abord remercier la Commission pour le temps qui nous est accordé aujourd'hui. Nous sommes heureux de pouvoir vous présenter une mise à jour au sujet de la restructuration qui fait suite à notre présentation de décembre 2013. Ceci dit, il y a un processus d'approvisionnement en cours et certaines informations sont confidentielles et ne seront pas en mesure de les divulguer publiquement. Nous tenons à garder la Commission informée et nous efforcerons de répondre à toutes les questions et préoccupations selon le moyen le plus approprié. Ce que je peux affirmer sans l'ombre d'un doute est que la sûreté nucléaire est et demeurera notre priorité à travers le processus de restructuration. Si l'on reprend le fil de l'histoire, le gouvernement a amorcé la restructuration en 2007 en lançant une revue complète de EACL. La restructuration a été divisée en 2 étapes. La première, afin de vendre les actifs de la division des réacteurs Candu de EACL, ce qui a été complété en 2011, lorsque Candu Énergie, une filiale de SNC Lavalin, en a fait l'acquisition. La deuxième étape de la restructuration est en cours et vise à mettre en place un modèle d'organisme gouvernemental exploité par notre entrepreneur, ce qu'en anglais on nomme Government Owned Contractor Operated, ou GOCO, au laboratoire nucléaire de ACL, implanter ce nouveau modèle au laboratoire de ACL. Natural Resources Canada is leading the restructuring on behalf of the Minister of Natural Resources, and we are working very closely with EACL and CNL to make this happen. Throughout the process, we have been in discussion with CNSC staff, who are kept informed of our progress and able to provide advice as appropriate at key juncture points throughout the restructuring. CNSC staff has been very collaborative, which I wish to acknowledge. On slide 5. Looking at the restructuring of CNL from a governance perspective, this slide illustrates the organizational transformation of the nuclear laboratories. Today, we are in the interim state shown on the center of this chart. In 2014, CNL was created as a wholly owned subsidiary of EACL. Through an internal reorganization, CNL became the operator of the nuclear laboratory and licensee. For now, the board of directors of CNL has the same membership as that of the parent Crown Corporation, ensuring alignment and direction and oversight of the operating business. At the end of the restructuring process, at the GOCO end state shown on the right side of the chart, the ownership of CNL will change from EACL to the contractor that is selected through the government-led procurement competition that is now underway. The contractor will appoint a new CNL board of directors, and the relationships that EACL has with both the contractor and with CNL will be of contractual in nature. I'll move on to slide 6. Thank you. The slide depicts the roles and responsibilities of the parties to the GOCO arrangement once the restructuring of EACL is completed. NRCan will continue to set policy for the government. EACL, as a Crown Corporation, will ensure that the government's objectives for the nuclear laboratories are met. EACL will be the main customer of CNL, will oversee the contract and CNL's performance. EACL will remain the owner of the sites, facilities, assets, intellectual property, and decommissioning liabilities. The contractor will be the private sector company selected to own 100% of CNL's shares. It will appoint CNL's senior leadership team and board of directors, and will earn fee based on CNL's performance. CNL will continue to be the operator and licensee. It will continue to be in full control of the day-to-day operations as it is today, and accountable for its performance. CNL will also have the authorities required to make all operational decisions at the nuclear laboratories, including those related to safety. It will have the qualified personnel, system, and processes needed to carry out its missions. As licensee, CNL will maintain its important relationship with the CNSC and will be fully responsible for meeting its regulatory obligations. CNL will be the enduring entity and the employer of the workforce. It will maintain its core capabilities and expertise over time and be positioned to carry on through potential future changes in its ownership. On to slide 7. As we proceed with the restructuring and implementing the GOCO model, 2 parallel streams of work are in progress. First, the procurement process that is led by Public Works and Government Services Canada on behalf of NRCan, and second, the internal reorganization of EACL as it prepares to the transition to the GOCO model. The procurement process is now well underway. The request for response evaluation, which is pre-qualification and consultation stage for the potential suppliers, concluded in late January 2015. In this stage, prospective suppliers' qualifications were evaluated to assess whether they met technical, financial, integrity, and national security requirements. Suppliers who satisfied these mandatory requirements were deemed qualified respondents. These qualified respondents were then invited to engage in detailed confidential consultations with government. Over the past several months, qualified respondents have improved their understanding of the expectations and details of the procurement. Separately, government has refined its requirements and determined terms and conditions to protect the interests of government while being commercially acceptable. 4 qualified respondents have completed this pre-qualification process. Public Works and Government Services Canada have made their names and team compositions public on its website, buyandsell.gc.ca. We have recently advanced to the request for proposal, or RFP stage. In late January, the RFP documents were issued to the 4 qualified respondents. The bid evaluation process will be conducted this spring, with the preferred bidder expected to be confirmed this summer and the contract awarded in the fall of 2015. Bids will be rigorously evaluated following processes and protocols established by Public Works and Government Services Canada. The government will be selecting the qualified bidder that demonstrates that it can best manage the complex CNL operations. Je vais maintenant passer la parole à M. Lundy et Walker, qui fourniront davantage de détails sur la restructuration interne au sein de EACL.
Thank you, Jean-Frédéric. For the record, my name is Jonathan Lundy, and I am the Chief Transition Officer for EACL. In conjunction with the procurement process, EACL is undertaking an internal reorganization. Nearly 10 months ago, CNL was legally created as a wholly owned subsidiary of EACL, and last November the 3rd, the organization was stood up. As part of this, the licenses, permits, and exemptions held by EACL were transferred to CNL. The CNL Board of Directors was appointed through cross-appointments with the already existing EACL Board, and Bob Walker was appointed President and CEO of CNL. Effective November the 3rd, 2014, the Nuclear Laboratories leadership team and employees were reorganized into the subsidiary, and EACL's management systems, contracts, etc. were migrated as well. Our license transfer applications describe these changes in detail. A dedicated project team manages ongoing transition activities internally. Last June, I was charged with creating the new, smaller Crown Corporation that will ultimately act as the main customer for CNL and manage the GOCO contract and agreements. To date, I have recruited an executive leadership team, many with deep GOCO experience. Staffing is continuing, and I am confident EACL will have its full complement of approximately 40 to 50 employees on board in the next few months. My team is making excellent progress putting in place the business infrastructure that EACL will need. The policies and core procedures that will govern the future EACL operations, as well as key business systems, are on target to be formally implemented starting this April 1st. EACL and CNL both recognize the value in building and testing the interfaces between the organizations and our teams in accordance with the commitments we have made to each other under an interim services agreement. We are currently focused on establishing priorities for the coming fiscal year and developing a reporting framework as would be appropriate for a customer and a supplier to do. In the time leading up to share transfer, we will assess how well we are doing through what we are calling stress testing. This will help us to build relationships between the people who will be interacting frequently, provide opportunity to test and adjust business interfaces, and ensure that information exchanged and plans set meet their respective needs. While in a contractual relationship, EACL and CNL share a common goal: to see CNL thrive under the GOCO model. This table provides an overview of the timelines for the restructuring going back to 2014 and moving to the fall of 2015 when the signing of the contract is anticipated. I won't go into detail as many of the identified milestones have been discussed in previous slides. I will note, however, the upcoming announcement of the preferred bidder in the summer, as well as the signing of the contract with the contractor expected in the fall of 2015. I want to amplify this period of time a little further because during the summer, after the preferred bidder agreement has been signed, AECL, CNL, and the preferred bidder will be working collaboratively on leadership transition, which will be managed in an orderly fashion through CNL's current change management process. This is an incredibly important activity, and I want to stress that we will not sign final contracts until we have certainty that an effective transition can occur. I will now turn the presentation back to Dr. Walker and Dr. Lafay.
Thank you, John. For the record, my name is Bob Walker. I want to begin by re-emphasizing John Lundy's last point that effective leadership transition is extremely important and will be a core priority for me. Continuous engagement and communication with our employees has been at the forefront of our efforts over the past year and a half. Our focus and message is clear. Nuclear safety is and must continue to be our overriding priority. We recognize that organizational change can distract a workforce, and we are actively working to keep people informed, engaged, and focused. As the GOCO implementation approaches, we are ramping up our two-way communications. We are making sure that all CNL managers are equipped to discuss the restructuring with their teams. We are ensuring a greater presence of management and supervision in the field, and we are increasing promotion of safety messages. Likewise, my engagements with CNL local union leaders and national representatives have increased. In terms of industry, I have also personally met with our customers and other members of Canada's nuclear sector who have significant stakes in the laboratories. As part of our public information program, we have been meeting with elected officials and business leaders from host communities near our Chalk River, White Shell, and Port Hope sites. And our CAN and Public Works have also been engaging local stakeholders on the subject of restructuring and the procurement process. It suffices to say that communication is very important, and we will continue to keep the public informed about the restructuring process and its timelines through our public information program. I'm going to now ask Dr. Lafay to speak to government's decision on the future of the NRU reactor.
Thank you. Pour le procès verbal, mon nom est Jean-Frédéric Lafaille. While not directly related to the restructuring, I want to take a moment to talk about the recent government announcement regarding the future of the NRU reactor. In February 2015, the Government of Canada announced its support for the continued operation of the NRU until March 31st, 2018. This continued operation is, of course, dependent on the licensing and regulatory approvals by the CNSC. The announcements also reiterated that the NRU will cease the routine production of the key medical isotopes molybdenum-99 on October 31st, 2016, as previously planned and announced. This is part of the government's broader strategy to ensure the security of supply through a more diversified and robust market. Government's isotope strategy has been threefold. First, support NRU production until October 2016. Second, encourage development of alternative production technologies, which have shown much progress towards commercialization in the near future. And third, sustain engagement to improve coordination of global supply and more efficient use. As a result, the global market has diversified and has become more robust. That said, recognizing that there could be tightness in the global supply of molybdenum-99 between 2016 and 2018, the government has asked CNL to maintain the NRU's capacity to produce molybdenum-99 in the unexpected event of a global shortage that could not be otherwise mitigated through other means. The Nuclear Energy Agency of the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development forecasts that the supply and demand for molybdenum-99 after 2018 will be met through new sources of supply globally, and the risk of shortages will be reduced significantly. Now I'll pass the presentation back to Dr. Walker, who will address implications of this decision for CNL.
Bob Walker for the record. In light of government's decision, CNL has begun to adjust its plans for operating NRU for the next 3 years and for its subsequent shutdown. Throughout this operating period, we will ensure that employees, unions, customers, collaborators, and host communities are kept fully and regularly informed of these plan adjustments as they unfold. 3 more years of operations provides us time to adjust. However, we also recognize the importance of finalizing and communicating our adjusted plans in the coming months. Our employees, our customers and collaborators, and our regulators will want and require this clarity. It is CNL's intention to take full advantage of the expected remaining 3 years of NRU operations to maximize benefit for external customers and for CNL research programs, while ensuring our obligations to operating safely are fully met. We will continue to meet our obligations to safely and reliably operate and maintain NRU through to its very last day, including meeting our commitments to the CNSC as set out in our license and as described in the Integrated Implementation Plan, or IIP. We have completed initial scoping assessments in 4 areas to help us determine our course for the future. The first area is operational impact. We have initially looked at the impact on operations and shutdown requirements for NRU and supporting facilities, including the impact of MALDI 99 production standby and implications for our current graceful exit plan for our MALDI 99 mission. We have revised our priorities for 2015-16 to ensure continued safe, reliable operations while producing deliverables required to support license extension of the NRU until March 2018. The second area is to maximize NRU usage. We have engaged customers to determine how best to adjust plans to make maximum use of NRU services through to March 2018, including opportunities to accelerate research and irradiation campaigns. We are preparing for 3 more good years of NRU usage to meet internal and external customer needs, work which will also mitigate the impact of the neutron gap period, that is that time post-NRU shutdown when we will not have a research reactor available. The third area is around the neutron gap impact. We have conducted the initial scoping assessment of the implications for our core research and development capabilities following NRU shutdown. The NRU directly supports and enables 3 of CNL's 10 Scientific Centers of Excellence, or COEs. Our initial scoping studies have confirmed that much of the core capabilities in these 3 affected COEs can be sustained for a gap period of up to 10 years. For example, through the judicious use of international collaborations. And we are adjusting R&D projects in some cases to ensure we maximize use of the available reactor time to progress irradiation campaigns that will in turn support research and development activities for years following the NRU shutdown. The final and most important area is people impact. We have explored initially how all of the above affects our people, their employment, and their personal needs, informed by our scoping in the other areas. There is more work to be done. The key principle that is underpinning our approach is to retain, retrain, and redeploy our people to the maximum extent possible in response to evolving company needs and opportunities. We recognize and acknowledge the need to be able to demonstrate with confidence that we have the trained and competent people to safely and reliably operate the NRU through to its end of life and to move the reactor to its safe shutdown consistent with our license conditions. We are committed to do so. Moving forward, CNL has 3 key licensing actions in the coming year with respect to the Chalk River Laboratories Nuclear Research and Test Establishment operating license. First, we will address the future of the NRU reactor in our submittal in response to Site License Condition 16.3, which is due 30th of June of this year. Second, we will submit information related to our 2014 performance of our licensed activities at all of our CNL sites in April of this year as well. Third, we will make an application in the fall of this year, 2015, to amend the expiry date of the Chalk River license such that it will coincide with the date of the NRU shutdown, March 31st, 2018. We recognize that these three matters are tightly intertwined, and having conferred with CNSC staff, suggest that these items be brought forward to the Commission for consideration in a single public hearing approximately 1 year from now. At that time, members of the new leadership team that the GOCO contractor installs to manage and operate CNL on a day-to-day basis would be present to speak for the organization's commitments. In closing, I offer the following conclusions. Nuclear safety remains our overriding priority. Restructuring is well underway. The procurement process is unfolding as we speak, with selection of the preferred bidder expected in the summer and contract signing in the fall of 2015. As you have heard today, AECL has been reorganizing itself to prepare for the implementation of the GOCO model. A very important step, the stand-up of CNL, was achieved last November. We are very conscious of the need to keep our stakeholders and, most importantly, our employees informed and engaged. Finally, we are in the process of responding to the recent government announcement on the NRU and are factoring this decision into our upcoming license submittals to the CNSC. Mr. President, our team will now be pleased to take your questions and those of the Commission members. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for this presentation.